The alarm bells rang through the bridge of the UHS Frontier, cutting through the quiet hum of deep space travel. Captain Jake Morrison pulled himself up from his chair and walked quickly to the communications station where Ryan Bell was working, with focused intensity. "What do we have, Bell?" Morrison asked, running a hand through his graying hair. The Frontier had been exploring the outer edges of human space for 3 months now, mapping new systems and checking for signs of intelligent life. This was the first distress signal they had picked up. "It's weak, sir. Coming from about 2 light hours away. The signal pattern doesn't match any human ship design I know." Bell adjusted his headset and frowned at the readouts. "The energy signature is completely different. I think it might be alien." Morrison felt his pulse quicken. First contact situations were always delicate, and his crew of 43 was trained for exploration, not diplomacy. He pressed the comm button on his chair. "Rodriguez to the bridge, please." Lieutenant Commander Amy Rodriguez arrived within minutes, her dark hair pulled back in the regulation style and her uniform crisp despite the early hour. She was Morrison's first officer and had a gift for handling complex situations with calm thinking. "Amy, we've got a distress signal from an unknown vessel. Could be our first real contact with non-human intelligence. What's your read on this?" Morrison trusted Rodriguez's judgment completely. She had gotten them out of more than one difficult situation during their years serving together. Rodriguez studied the data on Bell's screen for several minutes. The signal was definitely not human in origin, and it was getting weaker by the hour. "The ship is dying, sir. Whatever kind of power system they use, it's failing. If we're going to help them, we need to move now." Morrison nodded. "Bell, send a response on all frequencies. Let them know we're coming to help. Navigation, set course for the signal source, maximum speed." The Frontier changed direction and accelerated toward the source of the distress call. Dr. Kevin Walsh came up from the medical bay, carrying his emergency kit and looking worried. "Jake, if these are aliens, I have no idea what kind of medical help I can provide. Their biology could be completely different from ours." "We'll figure it out as we go, Kevin. We can't just leave them to die out there." Morrison had always believed that helping others was simply the right thing to do, regardless of the complications it might cause. 3 hours later, they found the source of the distress signal. The alien ship was small, barely larger than one of the Frontier's shuttles. Its hull was a strange blue-green metal that seemed to shift color in the starlight. Parts of the ship showed obvious damage from weapon fire, and it was tumbling slowly through space. "Life signs?" Morrison asked. Rodriguez checked her instruments. "3 beings aboard, sir. All alive, but their readings are weak. The ship's atmosphere is breathable for us, surprisingly. Oxygen and nitrogen mix, though the pressure is lower than we're used to." Morrison made his decision quickly. "Bell, hail them again. Let them know we're going to bring them aboard. Rodriguez, take a team over and assess the situation. Walsh, be ready for anything." The rescue operation took 2 hours. The alien ship's airlock was damaged, so Rodriguez and her team had to cut through the hull carefully. When they finally made entry, they found 3 beings unlike anything humans had ever encountered. The aliens were tall and thin, with pale blue skin that had a slight shimmer to it. Their faces were angular with large dark eyes that seemed to hold both intelligence and deep sadness. They wore simple clothing that appeared to be made from a material similar to silk. The largest of the 3, clearly the adult male, spoke in a musical language that the universal translator struggled to process. After several minutes of adjustment, his words became clear. "Please," he said, his voice carrying exhaustion and fear. "We mean no harm. We are Zelani. I am Vexhai. This is my mate Kirana and our child Piplo. We seek only safety." Rodriguez knelt down to look at the smaller being, who appeared to be very young. "It's okay," she said gently. "We're here to help. Can you tell us what happened to your ship?" Kirana, the female, answered in a voice barely above a whisper. "The Korthak attacked us. They said we were criminals, but we are not. We discovered their secret, and they tried to silence us forever." Back aboard the Frontier, Dr. Walsh examined the 3 aliens in the medical bay, while Morrison and Rodriguez observed. The young one, Piplo, seemed to be about the equivalent of a human 10-year-old. The child stayed close to its parents and watched the humans with curious but frightened eyes. "Their physiology is fascinating," Walsh reported quietly. "Similar to humans in many ways, but their nervous system is much more complex. There are signs of surgical intervention in their brain tissue, very recent. Someone has been experimenting on them." Vexhai overheard and nodded sadly. "The Korthak Empire controls much of this region of space. They discovered that our people's neural pathways can enhance their computer systems. They began taking our people, using our minds to improve their technology. When we found proof of this crime, we tried to bring it to the Galactic Council." "What happened?" Morrison asked. "The Korthak have much influence in the Council. They claimed we had stolen their technology and were lying about the neural harvesting. We were declared criminals and exiled from our homeworld. Now we have nowhere to go." Kirana held her child close as she spoke. Rodriguez felt anger building in her chest. The idea of a powerful empire harvesting the brains of innocent people disgusted her. "That's barbaric. How can the Council allow something like that?" "The Council cares only for stability and trade," Vexhai said bitterly. "The Korthak Empire is strong and wealthy. We Zilani are few in number and have little to offer in exchange for protection." Morrison studied the alien family for a long moment. They reminded him of refugees he had seen during his younger days. In the military, people who had lost everything through no fault of their own. The child especially touched his heart, with its large eyes and the way it clung to its parents. "Chief Park," Morrison called over the comm system. "Lisa Park, the Frontiers." Chief Engineer responded immediately. "Yes, sir? We're going to need quarters set up for our guests. 3 beings, different atmospheric needs from humans but manageable. Can you modify one of the empty crew cabins?" "Absolutely, Captain. Give me 4 hours and I'll have something." "Ready?" Rodriguez looked at Morrison with surprise. "Sir, are you sure about this? We don't have authorization to grant asylum to alien refugees. Command is going to have questions." Morrison nodded. "I'm sure. We can't just dump them somewhere, to be captured by the people who were experimenting on them. Look at that child, Amy. Would you send a human child back to people who wanted to cut up their brain?" "No, sir, I wouldn't." Rodriguez's voice was firm. She understood Morrison's position completely. Dr. Walsh finished his examination and approached. "Morrison." "Captain, these people have been through hell. The evidence of neural experimentation is clear and recent. If what they're saying is true, the Korthak have committed serious crimes against their species." "It's true," Piplo spoke up suddenly, surprising everyone with clear human speech. "I learned your language from your computer while the doctor was checking us. The bad people hurt many of my family. They said our minds make their machines work better." Morrison knelt down to Piplo's level. "Well, you're safe now. We're going to take care of you and your parents. That's what humans do for family." "Family?" Piplo asked, confused by the term. "People who care about each other and protect each other." Morrison explained simply. "You're under our protection now." As the Frontier resumed course toward human space, none of the crew realized that their simple act of kindness would soon change the balance of power across the entire galaxy. 2 days after rescuing the Zilani family, the Frontier's peaceful journey back to human space came to an abrupt end. Ryan Bell's voice crackled over the ship's communication system with urgent news. "Captain Morrison to the bridge immediately. We have incoming ships." Morrison rushed from his quarters where he had been reading reports about Korthak space. The elevator seemed to take forever as he worried about what they might be facing. When the doors opened, he found his bridge crew working with tense efficiency. "Report," Morrison said as he took his command chair. 3 ships, sir. They're Korthak. Design according to our database. Heavy cruiser class, much bigger than us. They're demanding we stop and prepare to be boarded." Bell's hands moved quickly across his controls as he tracked the approaching vessels. Rodriguez appeared at Morrison's side. "They're not asking nicely, sir. The lead ship's captain is demanding we surrender the stolen property and the criminals we're harboring." Morrison felt his jaw tighten. "Put them on screen." The main display showed a Korthak captain, a large reptilian being with dark scales and cold yellow eyes. When he spoke, His voice was deep and threatening. "Human vessel, I am Captain Zareth, of the Korthak Patrol Fleet. You are harboring criminals wanted by the Galactic Council. Surrender them immediately or face the consequences." Morrison stood up slowly. "This is Captain Morrison of the UHS Frontier. The beings aboard my ship are refugees under human protection. They are not criminals, and I will not be surrendering them to anyone." Zareth's eyes narrowed. "You do not understand the situation, human. The Zilani are property of the Korthak Empire. They have stolen valuable technology and must face justice. Your small ship cannot stand against 3 Korthak cruisers." "Maybe not," Morrison replied calmly. "But we're not backing down. These people are under human protection, and that means something." The Korthak captain seemed amused by this response. "Human protection? Your species is new to this galaxy. You do not understand how things work here. Power determines law, and we have the power." Morrison cut the communication and turned to Bell. "Send a priority message to all human ships in the area. Tell them we have refugees under our protection and we're facing hostile forces. Make sure you use the family protection code." Bell nodded and began transmitting immediately. The family protection code was something new in human space communication. It meant that civilians were in danger and needed immediate help from any available ships. Down in the modified crew quarters, the Zilani family huddled together as they felt the ship change course and speed. Dr. Walsh had been with them, explaining how human medical technology might help heal the damage done to their neural pathways. "What is happening?" Vexai asked, his musical voice filled with worry. "Are the Korthak here?" Walsh nodded grimly. "Captain Morrison is handling it. But I want you to know, we're not giving you up. That's not how humans work." Little Piplo looked up at the doctor with wide eyes. "Will they take us back? Will they hurt us again?" "Not if we can help it," Walsh said firmly. "When humans say you're family, we mean it. We protect family." Back on the bridge, Morrison watched as the Korthak ships moved closer. They were indeed much larger than the Frontier, and their weapon systems were clearly superior. But Morrison had been in difficult situations before, and he trusted his crew. "Sir," Bell called out excitedly, "I'm getting responses to our distress call. Multiple human ships are changing course to assist us." "How many?" Rodriguez asked. "At least 8 ships so far, including the heavy cruiser UHS Defender. Captain Susan Hayes is commanding the response." Morrison allowed himself a small smile. Hayes was a legend in the human fleet, known for her tactical brilliance and her fierce protective instincts. If anyone could handle this situation, it was her. The Korthak captain's voice came over the communications again. "Human ship, you have 1 hour to surrender the criminals or we will take them by force. Do not think your tiny fleet can intimidate the Korthak Empire." Morrison opened the channel again. "Captain Zareth, I suggest you contact your superiors. You're about to find out what happens when someone threatens human family." Over the next hour, more human ships arrived in the system. The heavy cruiser Defender took the lead position, followed by destroyers, frigates, and even some civilian vessels that had military-grade weapons. By the time Captain Hayes opened communications, 12 human ships faced the 3 Korthak vessels. Hayes was a tall woman with graying hair and steel in her eyes. When she spoke to the Korthak captain, her voice carried the authority of someone who had fought in many battles. "This is Captain Hayes of the Terran Federation Navy. I understand you have threatened a human vessel and the refugees under our protection. I suggest you reconsider your position." Captain Zareth seemed less confident now, but he still tried to maintain his threatening tone. "This is a Korthak matter, human. The criminals aboard your ship belong to us. Withdraw your vessels or face the consequences." Hayes smiled coldly. "The only criminals I see here are the ones who have been harvesting the brains of innocent people. Yes, we know about your neural experiments. Dr. Walsh has provided us with medical evidence of what you've done to the Zilani." The bridge of the Frontier went quiet as everyone listened to Hayes's words. Morrison felt proud to serve in the same fleet as officers like her. You have been misinformed, Zareth said, but his voice now carried uncertainty. The Zilani stole our technology. They are criminals under galactic law. Galactic law? Hayes laughed harshly. You mean the law that allows strong species to prey on weak ones? That law doesn't apply here. When humans declare someone family, we don't negotiate their safety with anyone. At that moment, more ships began arriving in the system. But these were not human vessels. Ships from the Nixari Republic, the Quileth Federation, and even some independent merchants joined the growing fleet. Word was spreading quickly through the galaxy about the standoff. Intelligence Officer Ben Carter had been working frantically in his small office aboard the Frontier. The evidence he had gathered about Korthak activities painted a disturbing picture. He called Morrison on the private channel. Captain, you need to see this. The Korthak have been doing this to dozens of species over the past 50 years. The Zilani are just the latest victims. I've found records of entire populations disappearing, officially listed as relocations but actually taken for neural harvesting. Morrison felt sick as he reviewed Carter's findings. The scale of the Korthak crimes was enormous, and apparently, most of the galaxy had simply looked the other way because the Korthak were powerful and wealthy. Send this information to Captain Hayes immediately, Morrison ordered. And make sure copies go to every ship in the system. As the evidence spread among the Allied fleet, the mood changed. This was no longer just about protecting one family of refugees. This was about stopping a systematic campaign of horror that had been hidden for decades. The Korthak captain seemed to realize that the situation had changed dramatically. His 3 ships now faced a growing fleet of angry vessels from multiple species, all united by the simple human principle that family deserved protection. This is not over, Zareth transmitted. The Korthak Empire will not forget this interference. Good, Hayes responded, because we want them to remember. We want every species in the galaxy to know that when humans adopt someone as family, we will fight for them. And we want everyone to know that the age of strong species preying on weak ones is coming to an end. The Korthak ships began to withdraw, but Morrison knew this was just the beginning. The Empire would not accept this challenge to their power, quietly. In their quarters, the Zilani family watched the human crew members who had become their protectors. Young Piplo had started calling Morrison Uncle Jake and Rodriguez Aunt Amy. The terms meant nothing in Zilani culture, but the humans understood their significance perfectly. Why do they do this for us? Vexhai asked Dr. Walsh. We are not their species. We have nothing to offer them. Walsh smiled gently. That's exactly why they do it. Humans believe that family isn't about what you can give back. It's about caring for each other because it's right. You don't have to earn love and protection. You just have to be part of the family. As the immediate danger passed, Morrison realized that they had just changed the course of galactic history. The Korthak Empire had been challenged openly, and other species had joined the humans in that challenge. The galaxy would never be the same. The peaceful moment after the Korthak retreat lasted only 6 hours. Ryan Bell's urgent voice broke the calm aboard the Frontier as warning signals filled the bridge. Captain Morrison, we have a massive fleet incoming. Korthak battle group, at least 30 ships. They're led by a Dreadnought-class vessel. Morrison felt his stomach drop as he rushed to the bridge. Through the main screen, he could see the approaching Korthak armada. The lead ship was enormous, easily 10 times the size of the Frontier. Smaller cruisers and destroyers surrounded it like angry wasps protecting their nest. Get me Captain Hayes, Morrison ordered. Hayes appeared on screen within moments, her expression grim. Jake, I'm seeing the same thing you are. This is Fleet Admiral Korvmass himself. He's brought enough firepower to level a small planet. Before Morrison could respond, a new voice filled the communication channels. The Korthak Fleet Admiral spoke with the authority of someone used to entire star systems, bowing before his power. Human vessels, this is Fleet Admiral Korvmass of the Korthak Imperial Navy. You have exactly 1 standard hour to surrender the stolen property and return to your own space. Any ship that remains after that time will be destroyed without further warning. Captain Hayes responded immediately. This is Captain Hayes representing the Terran Federation. The beings you call property are refugees under our protection. We do not abandon family, Admiral. We suggest you reconsider your position. Korvmas laughed, a harsh sound that made several bridge officers wince. Family? These are not even your species, human. You fight for strangers while your own ships face destruction. This is foolishness beyond measure. Maybe, Hayes replied, calmly. But it's our kind of foolishness. As the two fleets faced each other, more ships continued to arrive. The Terran Federation had sent Admiral Patricia Stone with the flagship UHS Sovereign and a full battle group. Stone was known throughout human space as someone who never lost a battle and never left anyone behind. When Admiral Stone's ship took position at the front of the human fleet, her message was broadcast on all frequencies across the system. This is Admiral Stone of the Terran Federation Navy. To all ships in this system, human and non-human alike, understand this clearly. The Terran Federation does not abandon family. We do not negotiate with those who would harm family. And we do not back down when family is threatened. Morrison watched from the Frontier's bridge as the two massive fleets prepared for battle. His small exploration ship was now surrounded by dozens of warships, all here because his crew had decided to help three strangers in distress. In the modified quarters below, the Zilani family huddled together as the ship's systems hummed with battle preparations. Dr. Walsh sat with them, trying to provide comfort in what might be their final hours. I am sorry, Vexhai said quietly. So many will die because of us. No, Walsh said firmly. People will fight because it's right, because some things are worth fighting for. You're not responsible for the evil that others choose to do. Young Piplo looked up at the doctor with wide, frightened eyes. Will Uncle Jake be okay? Will Aunt Amy be safe? They're going to do everything they can to protect you and each other, Walsh promised. That's what family does. The first shots of the battle came not from the main fleets but from a small Korthak destroyer that tried to sneak around and board the Frontier directly. Chief Security Officer Danny Martinez led the defense teams as Korthak soldiers tried to force their way aboard. They're heading for the refugee quarters, Martinez called over the comm system. All security teams protect the family. The battle inside the Frontier was fierce but brief. The human crew fought with desperate determination, knowing that capture meant certain death for the Zilani family. When Korthak soldiers reached the corridor outside the modified quarters, they found Martinez and his team waiting. But it was Piplo's terrified cry over the open comm channels that changed everything. Uncle Jake, help me. The bad people are here. That single frightened call reached every human ship in the system. The response was immediate and overwhelming. What the galaxy witnessed next would be remembered for generations as the moment they learned what human fury really meant. Captain Hayes ordered her ship directly into the Korthak formation, her guns blazing. All ships, defend the family. No one gets through to the Frontier. The human fleet attacked with a coordination and ferocity that surprised even their enemies. Ships that should have retreated instead charged forward. Captains who should have preserved their vessels instead threw them into desperate attacks to protect one small exploration ship. Admiral Stone's flagship led the charge, its massive guns tearing through Korthak's shields like paper. This is what happens when you threaten human family, she broadcast as her ship destroyed two Korthak cruisers in rapid succession. The tide of battle began to turn when other alien fleets arrived to support the humans. The Nexari brought their fast attack ships. The Quailoth contributed their powerful shields technology. Even some Althari vessels joined the fight, their captains declaring that they could no longer stand by while innocents were slaughtered. In the medical bay of the Frontier, Dr. Walsh made a crucial discovery while analyzing the Korthak neural technology samples they had taken from the Zilani family. The enhancement technology that made Korthak soldiers stronger and faster had a fatal weakness. Morrison, Walsh called over the comm system. The neural enhancers the Korthak use on their soldiers are vulnerable to a specific electromagnetic pulse. If we can generate that frequency across the fleet, we can disable their enhanced troops. Chief Engineer Lisa Park worked frantically to modify the Frontier's communication array to broadcast the disabling frequency. I can do it, but I need 15 minutes and I need the ship to hold still. You've got it, Morrison replied. He opened the fleet channel. All human ships, we need to protect the frontier for 15 minutes. We have a way to win this. The human fleet formed a protective shell around the small exploration vessel, while Park worked her engineering magic. Korthak's ships hammered at the human defenses, but the line held. Captains sacrificed their own ships to keep the frontier safe, their crews fighting to the last breath to protect the family they had adopted. When Park finally activated the electromagnetic pulse, the effect was immediate and devastating. Throughout the Korthak fleet, enhanced soldiers collapsed as their neural implants overloaded. Ships that depended on enslaved alien minds to function their advanced systems suddenly found themselves crippled. Admiral Korvmas watched in horror as his mighty fleet began to fall apart. The neural slaves that powered his ship's most advanced systems were freed from their mental chains, and many of them immediately turned against their captors. "Impossible," he transmitted on the emergency channel. "How did you learn our secrets?" Admiral Stone's reply was broadcast across the entire system. "We learned them from family, the people you experimented on, the ones you tried to reduce to property. They shared their knowledge to protect others from suffering the same fate." The battle ended with the Korthak fleet in full retreat, but Admiral Stone made it clear this was not over. "Admiral Korvmas, take this message back to your empire. The Terran Federation will not tolerate the oppression of innocent species. We will not stand by while you harvest minds and enslave populations. Change your ways or face the consequences." As the defeated Korthak ships limped away from the battlefield, Morrison finally allowed himself to breathe. His small crew had started something that had grown beyond anything he could have imagined. The galaxy had just witnessed proof that the human concept of family could inspire others to stand against oppression. In their quarters, the Zalani family emerged to find human crew members waiting to ensure they were safe. Piplo ran to Morrison and hugged his leg tightly. "Thank you, Uncle Jake. You kept your promise." Morrison knelt down and looked the young alien in the eyes. "That's what family does, Piplo. We keep our promises to each other." As reports of the battle spread across the galaxy, species that had suffered under Korthak oppression began to hope for the first time in generations. The humans had proven that family loyalty could overcome even the greatest military power when that power was built on cruelty and oppression. 6 months after the Great Battle, the galaxy looked completely different. The Korthak Empire was falling apart as dozens of enslaved species rose up in rebellion. Their neural harvesting facilities were being shut down one by one, and the victims of their experiments were finally free. On Earth, in the city of New Geneva, a special ceremony was taking place in the Great Assembly Hall. Representatives from over 200 species had gathered to sign what would become known as the Terran Compact, an agreement that would change how civilizations treated each other forever. Vexhai stood at one of the great windows, watching. Human and alien children playing together in the parks below. His mate Kirana worked in the research labs now, helping Dr. Walsh and other scientists understand how to heal the damage done by neural harvesting. Their knowledge was saving thousands of victims across the galaxy. "It still amazes me," Vexhai said to Captain Morrison, who now wore the uniform of an admiral. 6 months ago, we were criminals running for our lives. Now our people are free and the galaxy is changing. Morrison smiled as he watched Piplo teaching a group of human children how to speak basic Zalani. The young alien had grown taller and more confident, serving as a bridge between species and cultures. That's what happens when people decide to do the right thing, even when it's difficult. The doors to the assembly hall opened and Ambassador Amy Rodriguez entered. She had left her military career to become Earth's first ambassador for refugee and family protection affairs. Her job was to make sure that what happened to the Zalani never happened to anyone else. "The ceremony is about to begin," Rodriguez announced. "All the representatives are here and the documents are ready for signing." The assembly hall filled with beings from across the galaxy. Some walked on 2 legs like humans, others floated or crawled or moved in ways that defied description. But they all shared one thing in common. They believed that family bonds were stronger than species differences. Admiral Patricia Stone took the stage first, representing the Terran Federation. Her speech was broadcast to billions of beings across Hundreds of worlds. 6 months ago, a small human ship found 3 aliens in distress, Stone began. Our crew could have followed protocol and turned them over to the authorities. Instead, they chose to protect them as family. That choice started a war, but it also started something more important. It started a new understanding of what civilization should be. The crowd listened in respectful silence as Stone continued. Today we gather to sign the Terran Compact, not because humans want to control the galaxy, but because we want to protect it. We want to create a civilization where the strong protect the weak, where family means something real, and where no one has to face oppression alone. Captain Susan Hayes, now promoted to Admiral and Commander of the new multi-species protection fleet, spoke next. The Korthak Empire thought that power made them right. They thought that being strong gave them the right to prey on the weak. They learned that there is a power greater than weapons and fleets, the power of people who choose to stand together as family. When it came time for the alien representatives to speak, many shared similar stories. The Nexari ambassador told of how his people had suffered under Korthak oppression for decades before the humans showed them that resistance was possible. The Quiloth representative spoke of how human concepts of chosen family had helped her species overcome ancient tribal conflicts. But it was young Piplo who delivered the most powerful speech of the day. The small Zalani walked to the podium with confidence that would have been impossible 6 months earlier. My birth family were Zalani, Piplo began, speaking in perfect human English. But my choice family are human. I learned that family is not about what you are born as. Family is about who chooses to stand with you when the universe gets dark and scary. The young alien paused and looked around the great hall at the hundreds of different species gathered there. Today, we are all choosing to be family. We are saying that no one should face the bad people alone. We are promising to protect each other because it is right, not because we get something back. Piplo's words brought tears to many eyes, both human and alien. The simple truth spoken by a child cut through all the complex politics and treaties to the heart of what they were really doing. The signing ceremony took hours as each representative came forward to add their agreement to the compact. The document established new rules for how civilizations would interact. It created protection protocols for refugee species. It set up joint fleets to defend against oppression. Most importantly, it recognized that family bonds could exist between any sentient beings, regardless of their biology. Admiral Morrison, now commander of the flagship UHS Unity, watched the ceremony with deep satisfaction. His old ship, the Frontier, had been converted into a mobile hospital and rescue vessel. It traveled the galaxy helping species that were recovering from Korthak oppression. Admiral, his aide approached with a communication tablet. Message from Captain Martinez aboard the Frontier. They found another group of neural harvesting survivors near the old Korthak research station in the Vega system. Morrison nodded. Danny Martinez had volunteered to command the Frontier in its new role. The tough security officer had become surprisingly gentle when working with traumatized survivors. Tell him we'll have medical teams ready when he arrives. How many survivors this time? 43 beings from 6 different species, sir. All children. Morrison felt the familiar anger rise in his chest at the thought of what the Korthak had done to children. But that anger was tempered by hope. These survivors would be brought to safety, healed, and helped to find new homes among the species that had signed the compact. Dr. Kevin Walsh, now director of the Galactic Trauma Recovery Center, had developed new treatments that could repair much of the neural damage caused by Korthak experiments. His work was based partly on Zilani neural science, shared freely by Vexhai and Kirana. Chief Engineer Lisa Park had taken charge of developing new technologies for the protection fleets. Her electromagnetic pulse discovery had been refined into defensive systems that could disable any technology based on enslaved minds. The galaxy's tyrants found their neural enhancement systems useless against human engineering. As the ceremony concluded, Morrison walked out into the gardens where human and alien families were celebrating together. He found Piplo sitting with a group of young beings from a dozen different species, all of them teaching each other games and songs from their homeworlds. "Uncle Jake," Piplo called out. using the title that had become official when the Zelani family was legally adopted into human citizenship. "Come see what the Althari children taught us." Morrison joined the group and watched as the children played a complex game that seemed to involve singing, pattern making, and something like dancing. The rules made no sense to him, but the joy on their faces was universal. "This is what we fought for," Rodriguez said, joining Morrison at the edge of the play area. "Not territory or resources or political power. This moment right here, where children from different worlds can play together without fear." Morrison nodded, thinking back to that first day when they had found 3 frightened aliens in a damaged ship. Amazing how much can change when people decide to do the right thing. In the distance, ships from the multi-species protection fleet could be seen launching from Earth's orbital stations. They carried crews from dozens of different worlds, all united by the simple human principle that family deserved protection. Ryan Bell, now a communications specialist for the fleet, had developed new translation protocols that allowed instant communication between any species in the compact. His work was making it possible for the galaxy's first truly integrated civilization to function smoothly. As the sun set over New Geneva, Morrison received a message from a human exploration ship near the edge of known space. They had discovered signs of another oppressed species, beings who had been hiding from galactic civilization for generations because they feared what the powerful would do to them. Morrison smiled as he read the report. The UHS Discovery was already moving to make contact, carrying with them the new protocols for first contact with refugee species. The ship's captain had included a simple note with her report. "Found some new family members out here, bringing them home." The word home had taken on new meaning in the galaxy. It no longer meant just the world where you were born. It meant anywhere that family would protect you, anywhere that you could be safe and valued and loved. As Morrison watched the children play in the garden, he knew that the galaxy would never again be a place where the strong could prey on the weak without consequence. The age of empires built on cruelty and oppression was ending. The age of family was beginning, and when humans declared someone family, the galaxy had learned. They meant it forever.